You're listening to Arizona Good Business Radio, featuring unique stories with leaders who believe the community is a central part of doing business. Join us on the journeys of entrepreneurs, local businesses, and champions of Arizona who believe working together, we can build stronger communities.
To Arizona Good Business Radio, we feature leaders in the Arizona business community working to build a lasting impact throughout our state. They're doing good business. As always, I'm your host, Thomas Barr, Vice President of Business Development at Local First Arizona. If you don't know us, we're a statewide organization advocating for and celebrating locally owned businesses and entrepreneurs. We're the largest local business coalition in North America, providing resources to thousands of small businesses while raising awareness of the benefits of building a strong local economy. Mouthful, I know, but it's cool. So we're excited to have today up from Tucson, Kristen Marvin, company. She's representing a Solutions by Kristen. Love it. Makes sense since you are Kristen. Welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, we've so much to talk about. We've got props. We've got a book we got to talk about today. We've got a whole business. We got moving to Tucson, Arizona. Exciting. Tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you here today, Kristen.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for hosting me. This is just an honor to be here with you all. Local First was one of the first organizations I met when I moved to Tucson. And every time I interact with anybody from your team, it feels like home. I was thinking about that today, driving up from Tucson.
Love that.
Yeah. So I've been in the restaurant business for the past 20 years. I started as a line cook at 15 and worked my way up to managing partner in the independent restaurant space.
Brutal.
That's where brutal. We're crazy. We're passionate. We're innovative. We're all the things. It's where my heart is, and the business made me who I am today, and I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah.
We moved here a couple of years ago to be closer to family and redesign our lifestyle and start over. And I had a vision and wanted to go on a mission to support the independent restaurant industry in a different light. And it's been the best decision we've ever made. So
amazing.
Here I am.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, welcome to Arizona. It's been a couple of years now.
2 years. Yeah.
And we were just talking right before the show how I've heard over the years so many stories of people who were called back to Tucson, were just found Tucson, were just drawn to that community. What was that in your experience in coming to Tucson? Was it your first time? Was it your family's first time? What was that all?
Yeah, my husband was born there, and his parents. So
it was a callback.
Yeah, so he moved away when he was 11,
Okay.
and we met in Colorado. And I'd visited Phoenix a couple times for work, but I'd never really spent time in Tucson.
Yeah.
And his family moved back. We came down to visit them, and we were in the pool late February, gorgeous day, staring at the palm trees and the blue skies. There was snow back on the ground in Denver. And I just had a moment of insight where I knew I wanted to do something differently. In my career, I was really burnt out, and I was starting to realize it. And I just looked at him and said, I think I want to start my own company. And he said, there's no way we can afford to stay in Denver if you're going to give up your big girl salary.
Sure.
And I said, would you be open to moving? And he said, where? I said, right here. And we went home, we put pen to paper, we designed exactly what we wanted the rest of our lives to look like, and figured out where that made sense. And we looked at California, we looked at Texas, Florida, and ended up in Arizona.
Cool.
And it's gorgeous here. The weather, the lifestyle, it's everything that we wanted and hoped for.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's a huge change, life change, but I'm so happy to hear that it's been positive so far. So that's great.
Thank you.
So I can only imagine 20 plus years in the restaurant industry, you took a lot from that, which shaped what your business was going to be. Was there a moment, or was there experiences that you had throughout it where you said, I can do this, I can take this knowledge, these skills, this expertise that I've taken over the years and share it with others? What was that like for you?
I think when I started working with a coach to really understand what my next step was going to be and started investing in myself as a leader again, I realized that one-on-one conversations and coaching was my favorite part of the job. And I believe that there are there's a significant lack of leadership development resources in the hospitality space.
Totally.
And if you want to be successful, you've got to go find them on your own. You can't rely on the leaders around you and the company to provide that. I've done both. I've been really successful when I've invested in myself, and when I didn't, I crashed and burned. And so I didn't want that to happen. That latter have to happen to other people in the industry.
Yeah.
And so that was really the spark for me to go, you know what, I do have a ton of experience, and I've learned a ton of lessons, good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah.
And I'd like to have a larger voice in the industry and help leaders be more sustainable because the restaurant industry is hurting.
Yeah.
It's in a really tough spot right now.
Yeah.
It's got a bad reputation for work environment. And there's a lot of opportunity. I've seen it be beautiful, and there's so many wonderful companies out there doing it right.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that need help too.
Yeah. That's amazing. So I mean, connecting with getting to the chefs, the owners, the people running the show in independent restaurants is hard. I mean, they're working hours and hours and hours on end. They are maybe burnt out themselves. How have you found success in reaching them yet, or what is your strategy like in getting there?
Well, luckily, I love to eat. So,
well, you're in Tucson, so that's a great place to do it,
it's
right?
very
City
true.
gastronomy, shout out.
It's very true. I've always been really active in the independent community. So I was with an organization on the board in Denver, a local group that supports 300 independent members.
Okay.
Called Eat Denver. And loved being part of that community and just meeting everyone, being able to brainstorm ideas, go to monthly programming meetings, do events, things like that. So part of building this business was maintaining that really strong network there that I've built. The other part of it was moving to a brand new community, going, where do I find these people? When you're starting a business and you're budgeting, because it takes a little bit of time to build, you don't have the luxury of being able to go out to eat, especially with today's prices. So, and like you said, restaurant owners are difficult to find. They're not necessarily doing a lot of networking outside of their restaurants unless it's like an event, or a competition or something like that. So I really started to identify organizations that had local ties. So Local First Arizona, Tucson City of Gastronomy, Startup Tucson, anybody in the food space that was supporting, I kind of started to latch on to and network with and just kind of show up and figure out what was happening and where was the innovation and where was the support and how could I be of service to those organizations?
Cool.
And it's worked out really well.
That's awesome. And have you connected with Tucson Foodie too?
Yes.
Love
Yes.
them.
Yeah. Shout out to Shane.
Crushing it. Yeah. Coolest guys ever. Awesome. I love that. Well, doing this work over the years, connecting with so many people, I found the same thing. If you want to be part of the community, you latch on to, like you said, those community organizations, those people that are really tapped in, committed to, seeing things through, doing better in the community, that sort of a thing. That's part of why we started this podcast, is we wanted to bring people in and listen to how they were approaching doing business in a good way. It's one thing to have a business and just be running and operating and making a profit. It's another to be, share your knowledge with others and be super intentional about how you approach it. So super happy to have you here and learn more about that. But I also know that you have a book. Let's hear about that. What is that all about?
Yeah. So this is my book is The Hospitality Leaders Roadmap.
Cool.
Move from Ordinary to Extraordinary.
Love it.
This is the not for resale copy, so sorry about the gray stripe. I'm in launch mode right now.
Cool.
It is my my memoir and the stories and leadership lessons that I've learned over the last 20 years. So like I said, starting as a line cook at 15, working up to managing partner, working in the independent space, also watching or being a part of an independent space go into massive explosion, 6 to 48 locations over 7 years, and what that was all about. And then discovering burnout and dealing with that, going through a really unhealthy phase of drinking too much and losing sight of my own development, who I was, and not taking care of myself mentally and physically. And then finding my way out of that by reinvesting in myself, learning how to become mentally fit, and then using all those tools and resources coupled with my restaurant experience to start this amazing company
Yeah.
that I'm honored to have, where I now support owners one-on-one through coaching, offer leadership workshops. I have a show as well, the No Hesitations Leadership Podcast,
Cool.
Restaurant Leadership Podcast, and now the book. So I'm just building and building and building and having fun playing in this entrepreneurial space.
Good for you. That's great.
Yeah.
And great to hear. I know you mentioned you're connecting with David DiLorenzo, who takes like a similar approach to the hospitality space.
Yeah.
He does different things himself, but love to hear it. Love to hear it. And good for you. Really happy that you've made that journey. That's great.
Thank you.
But I do have a question. What was your favorite restaurant to ever work in?
That's a tough one because I've got two that are just,
Let's hear them both.
Okay, really close to my heart. I've had the pleasure of opening 13 locations, and I always compare them to birth. I don't have children. I'm a dog mom.
Okay, same. No, not mom, but
yeah, sure.
I got you.
There's something beautiful about watching those restaurants come to life and the energy and all the work behind the scenes. And then when you open the doors and the guests enter and the show goes on, the show starts, it's gorgeous. So the first one that I was really able to be a part of was a fine dining restaurant down in Colorado Springs. And we had hired Jacques Pepin's son-in-law to be the chef. We hired a general manager from Union Square Cafe in New York that worked for Danny Meyer to be the GM. I was able to study to become a sommelier. I worked with mixologists out of New York. It was just a playground of learning and curiosity and innovation. And I'm from a small town in Missouri. And so food for me was, my culinary experience was like steak and potatoes.
Yeah.
So the fine dining, learning about French cuisine and pairing things with wine and cocktails was gorgeous. The team that we were able to put together there was one of the most extraordinary teams I've ever worked with. And we were just learning and growing every single day together. So that was amazing. And I was assistant general manager there.
That's cool.
The second restaurant was the first restaurant that I worked at when we moved up to Denver, which was an Italian restaurant on Larimer Square. And I got hired as a general manager. I was 24 years old, 2 weeks before opening. My first GM gig. I had a lot to prove to myself and to the team. And we put together a rock star team. And it was super high volume. And it was a concept unlike anything Denver had ever seen. And it was wildly successful. And it was just a party every single night. It was awesome. 600 people. And it was just how many people can we fit in the doors here?
Wow.
And it was just, and I'm still connected with a lot of the team there. And they are very connected to each other. I love seeing their posts on Facebook. And, we've had a lot of good memories together. We've unfortunately lost some employees. And to see them still come together and share those memories. This was 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
It's just really beautiful.
Yeah.
So.
Well, gosh, I can hear the passion behind just your voice in the experience. Restaurants aren't for everybody, right?
Yeah.
And it takes a certain type of person to like not only work in one, but work in them for 20 plus years and like have something to take away from it. That's like, that was great.
Yeah, totally.
So I love hearing about it. The other thing I was going to ask is there is a restaurant that is famously known in Denver that was featured on a South Park episode. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Casa Bonita?
So for those listening, if you've never heard of this place before, it is the wildest, most strange restaurant in the world. My experience was after the like craze of like everybody trying to go there, it's set up like a theme park.
Yep.
Like,
indoor theme park.
It's literally set up like you're going to Disneyland or something, and there's like lines and lines and lines, and then you go in and there's a full show. There's like kids from the local theater that like dive off of.
Yep.
There's like a lake inside. Like, what? Why? How does that even exist?
So it's a amazing staple restaurant. I don't even know how long. I don't know the history of Casa Bonita, but yeah, it's great for families. You walk in, it's cafeteria style. You grab your tray of food. You have to buy something to eat. The food was always awful. That's not why you went. You went for the entertainment. There was a game room, arcade. So kids, families would go, but then we'd go and drink too much and have a blast in there too, because it was like Rainforest Cafe, but like not as well put together.
Yeah.
And then the guys from South Park
they
bought it.
Yeah.
And they put $40 million into it, and they hired 1,500 people to staff it.
That is wild.
And they reinvented it. I guess their office and their space is built around South Park, as I've heard rumors of. And they just completely revitalized it. I think it closed during the pandemic and then went through these years of construction. Right. We haven't been yet. So they brought in this just total badass chef, Dana Rodriguez from Denver, and revitalized it when they opened. And it was a hot ticket. You couldn't get in for a bit. So we've been in our travels back to Denver. It's been on our list, but we haven't been in yet.
Cool.
But I'm excited to check it out. And they still have the cliff divers. I don't even know how deep that
it's got to be
that
deep
hole of water goes.
Like you walk up these stairs and you're at this really high point. We've now turned this into a Casa Bonita podcast, by the way. But
sponsored by Casa Bonita.
You jump off this crazy thing and they dive in the water. It's wild. But anyway, I can't even compare it to anything in Arizona because I'm just like, so if you go to, you've got to experience it. It's just one of those things. It's not the greatest food, or wasn't when I went, but it's just one of those things you got to do.
Yeah.
So
it's all about the experience.
Yeah. Here, I can't compare it to anything. So anyway, we only have great restaurants here, right?
Yes.
So would love to hear your perspective on coming to Tucson after these years in restaurants, and what is your take on? Let's focus on Tucson specifically. We talked a little bit about, if you don't know, UNESCO designated Tucson as the first city of gastronomy. Huge win for Arizona, huge win for Tucson, celebrating all the chefs, restaurants, like huge culinary scene down there. Local First just hosted our Arizona Good Food Forum and Expo there last week. I saw you there. That was awesome. We had 300 plus farmers, ranchers, food entrepreneurs, producers, all in the same room. The energy was out of this world. It was so cool. And the reason we chose Tucson is because of the rich, deep economy, food economy that's there. And so what's your take on it? What have you experienced so far, and what are some of your favorite components of that?
It's interesting coming from a big city where the culinary scene had just been exploding since 2007, and there's flashiness and there's investment, money flowing everywhere, and there's this competition, innovation. You come to Tucson and just the vibe of the city itself is just it's just calm and it's relaxed and it's more laid back. And so the restaurants are like these little hidden gems that you walk into and you don't expect a lot. What I love about Tucson is there is an authenticity and a level of pride in who we are and the origins of Tucson food and the heritage foods. And so when we moved here, this was a playground for us of what's local, what's growing here. I was obsessed with the farm and still am obsessed that there are farmers markets year round here. So I was immediately chatting with the farmers, what are you growing? What are the seasons like here? Because they're different, right?
Yeah.
And we've fallen in love with chiltepines and figuring out how we can grow our own food here. But there's people that have restaurants in Tucson there's so much history behind it. There's so much culture. There's so much love. There's so much family connection. And it's so fun to just explore and talk to people about where did this recipe come from? Tell me the stories of your families.
Yeah.
And you can see at the Good Food Expo, there are so many people that live here. There's such an entrepreneurial spirit here too. There's so many little local businesses that are popping up, whether it's in the packaged food scene, beverage scene. I mean, there's some really exciting stuff going on down here, which is great to see.
Cool. So I usually don't do this, but we're going to play a quick game to find out your favorite spots in Tucson.
Okay.
So, place to go for coffee.
Yellow Brick.
Yellow. I love Yellow Brick. I've never been there before, but I have tried their coffee beans. Somebody's got them for me before.
What Dave and the team is doing is great. I'm probably over there about once a week. It's about 20 minutes from my house, but it's the best local place I can find where I live.
Yeah.
It's white walls, gold textures, pink tones, gorgeous windows. So it feels really good in there, but they've got this amazing barista setup that I've never seen before. And I can't remember what it's called, but it's their barista machines are on tap. So they're super short and squatty.
Okay.
and they're just chrome and they're gorgeous. They've got 2 or 3 different, I don't know the terminology, so I apologize, but 2 or 3 different ways that they can pull shots. And the intention, it's all built into the counter, but the intention of it is so that the baristas can actually have conversations with you.
Cool.
Versus, being hidden behind the
Love
machine
that.
or kind of looking. And anyway, it's sleek and it's
That's
just
cool.
It's great.
Gonna have to go there next time. My go-to is XO coffee. They have 2 locations. One is like on 6th, and then the other is just south downtown in a really old historic like adobe building.
Nick took me there. That's where I met Nick
Super cool
from
spot.
Local First. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Super
actually
cool.
that building used to be where Local First had an office like years and years and years ago. So it's
and they've
cool
got
to
a
see.
cool bar and some cool craft cocktails.
Yeah,
I've heard there too.
like I would just call it like Mexican inspired like patio area. Really cool.
Nice.
Okay. My favorite food, pizza or Italian food.
Lavanello.
Okay.
I gotta say there's a tie. Lavanello and Zio Pepe's Birria pizza is some of the best pizza I've ever had.
Cool. So mine is Riley Craft Pizza.
Riley's is good too.
Built in an old mortuary, which is funny, but is kind of cool too.
Totally.
So
Totally.
go down to the basement, check it out.
Yep.
Cool spot. Okay. Best place for lunch.
Oh, that's tough.
Gotta pick.
You know what? There is I don't know what it's called. There's a sushi restaurant in the strip mall at Speedway and Wilmot next to the Trader Joe's.
Okay.
And it's always packed.
Cool.
And they are just hustling in there. It's
awesome.
Have
to find the name.
Maybe we can put it in the show notes.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, we'll throw it in. So my favorite is bison witches. So, and that's only if I'm going to take a nap after lunch. It is this place that they had 3 locations, one in Tucson, the original. They opened up a second in Tempe that they closed probably 10 years ago. So I don't get to have it as often anymore. And one randomly in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I only know because I went to visit my sister-in-law when she was graduating college in Lincoln, and I saw one there. Anyway, owner lives here, all that stuff. It's local. They have these incredible bread bowls, broccoli cheddar soup, chili, like all of the things. It's like the best ever. But again, only for taking a nap after lunch. So
yeah. I've got some family in Nebraska. I'm gonna have to tell my cousins to head over there and check it out.
So we'll drop everybody in the show notes, all the great local spots in Tucson. Love it. So would love to branch back to like what you're doing with your consulting business. Where is that right now? Who are you looking to connect with? What's happening in the development of that these days?
So I love coaching independent restaurant owners, one-on-one basis, helping them overcome their biggest challenges, developing themselves as leaders, really clearing those roadblocks out of the way so they can spend time and energy where it matters most. If they are curious about taking care of their people, if they're curious about how to grow their business, whether that's within their 4 walls or they want to scale, I love helping with that. There's the coaching aspect, but I also love providing resources to them from ways that they can think differently about their business and innovate, whether that's technology, helping create and implement systems for them, helping them understand change management and how to roll out new things to their teams effectively. All that stuff is just what I'm really passionate about.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about what the ideal chef restaurant owner is like. Is it somebody who's in the inception phase and they are building an idea for a restaurant and that's their vision, right? That's their vision that they have. Is it somebody that's in the trenches now, they're 10 years in and they need some help figuring things out? What does it look like?
Yeah, I'll tell you a couple of examples of people that I'm working with. So I have one operator who has a really successful food hall. They are working on really getting their vision clear as to whether or not they're going to just continue to operate that one location that's really successful or scale to other concepts. What we're working on in their 4 walls right now is, again, leadership development, but also bringing everything they're doing back to their mission. So I help them create a mission statement. They've been open for a few years. Create a mission statement, make sure everyone's aligned on exactly the mission and the vision and where they're going as a company, and building a really strong leadership team within, because they had some new people, some turnover. And from there, really understanding how they can become a world-class organization, defining what that means, and then making sure that that's flowing through every single aspect of the business.
Cool.
Another client that I have has 3 different companies. They have a golf simulator. They have a which is like all the rage, the big golf simulator bars, like Top Golf but smaller.
Yeah.
A smoothie bowl and acai shop that they're growing to a national level, and then burger concepts too. So understanding how to be a multi-unit leader, where to spend their time and their energy, how to delegate, how to develop their leaders, how to put strong systems in place, so that so they can walk away from their business, and take 2 days off a week, and find some balance and reignite some passion.
So the restaurants that are in business, you're doing well, you're generating revenue, you're wanting to grow and scale, it sounds like, but need a little help to get there. It's one thing to launch one business, another to scale it from there. So
and I think, again, a lot of people that get into this business are really creative and they're passionate about serving other people and offering a really great product, but the business side of the thing sometimes takes a backseat, oftentimes takes a backseat. And so what I've found and I've had experience working in and with are people that expand too quickly. And so we make sure we've got a really strong foundation first in location number 1 before we even start talking about 2 and 3.
So makes sense. And like building the team, right? It's not just about the owner and the chef, it's your GMs, all of the people running the show, that sort of thing. So makes
absolutely. Sense. If you take care of your people and you make it sustainable, your business is going to be profitable. And restaurants are tough. Like I said earlier, they're in a tough spot. 10% profit margin to the bottom line used to be the average. Now it's 5 if you're lucky, and turnover kills that immediately. And when you don't have the right people in place, you can't play with the food, you can't play with the cocktail program, you can't be in the community. You're not able. It really handcuffs you to be able to do what you want to do.
Sure.
And so we make sure those staple things are in place first.
Got it. So if you are in that demographic of restaurant owner, chef, whatever that looks like, in Arizona, what's one piece of advice that you'd give to those folks?
Start working on your vision. Figure out where you want to go first, because if you don't know, then the rest of your team is not going to know either. And if you need help with that, I can help with that.
Give her a call. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. And if we're going to pick up your book, which will not have a gray line through it soon, what's something that we could expect to take away after reading that?
The cool thing about this book is it's not a read it once and then put it down and not come back to it. There are 36 leadership lessons in this, 36 chapters. There are 6 podcast episodes in here that go a little bit deeper into the leadership topics as well. You can pick up this book if you are at any stage of your career. If you're an assistant general manager trying to look at how you can move up to a GM. If you're a GM that wants to move up to a regional manager, there's lessons in there that I've learned. If you want to be a regional, move up to a managing partner. There are lessons in there too. And then how to continue to invest in yourself to be more of a mentally fit leader. There are lessons and guides and resources in there for you as well. So it's a book that you can come back to over and over and over again. But again, the main point, of the book is you can become extraordinary, all on your own if you choose to invest in yourself. There's so many. Once you open that door to creativity and innovation and learning and curiosity, the sky's the limit.
Love it. Love it. Well, I can't think of a better way to end it. But if people do want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Yep. So the best way is to call me, 719-494-6074.
Just throwing it out there.
Yeah. My website is KristenMarvin.com. My name is spelled weird, so it's CHRISTIN. Last name Marvin, MARVIN.com.
Cool. Love it. Kristen, thanks for coming up
Thank you
for being on the show. Happy to partner with you and work together.
Absolutely. Thank you, Thomas.
Awesome. Well, for those of you listening, we hope you were inspired today, listening to a local leader working to leave a legacy in Arizona through doing good business. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Phoenix Business Radio, as always, for hosting us, and all of our legacy partners at Local First Arizona. This is Thomas Barr from Local First AZ, reminding you that if we want to build a better Arizona, we need to connect deeply with the local businesses that make us proud to call this place home.
Thank you for listening to Arizona Good Business Radio with Local First Arizona, where entrepreneurs and local businesses come together to build stronger communities. We hope your business is inspired to take part in building a better Arizona.